call to order the City Council regular meeting for the City of Wyoming, Minnesota, February 20th, 2024, 7 p.m. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Member Luker, Member Onstad, Member Schilling, Member Yeager, and Mayor Iverson are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first on the agenda is open forum, an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items that are on or may not be on the current agenda. Items requiring council action may be deferred to staff or boards and commissions for research and future council agendas if appropriate. You will be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask that you conduct yourself in a professional, courteous manner and be respectful. And please refrain from the use of profanity. Failure to abide by this policy may result in the loss of your privilege to speak. Do we have anybody here to speak? All right, please come on up, state your name. The mic's on.
My name is Bonnie Christensen. I live at 24679 Hale Avenue, Forest Lake. I have a couple questions about the lighting at the Gregory Construction Contracting Company. They have 2 lights in the parking lot area. They look similar to this. They're LED, 7 across by 4, and each one of those cells has 6 bulbs or whatever they are in LED lights. They are quite bright. And Fred has made a report and done some light meter testing. But I was noticing on all the site maps that I've ever seen about the Gregory property that I have never seen any notation or mention of these 2 lights that are in the parking lot on those site plans. I would like to see an actual site plan showing these lights, and that's one comment I have. And the other is there's one in particular. It's on the southeast corner of the building. It's facing west towards my property, and it's quite bright. And I foresee that I will be doing some screening for that problem. And so I'm looking forward to seeing a site map with these lights on because actually Gregory, I think at one meeting I remember, at least at one, that he said he wasn't going to have parking lot lights. And at first when he put these lights in, I thought they were some sort of work light to assist the workers, like a temporary work light. But then they turned out that they weren't. They're hardwired on a post about this height approximately. And, you know, I just want to know more about these 2 lights.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I have us all stand and have a minute of silence for the 2 police officers that were killed in Burnsville over the weekend, and one firefighter? I think it'd be a good idea to stand and pay our respects to them.
Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can do that.
I don't have a problem.
Thank you.
My name is Neil Reaver, R-E-V-E-R. It's spelled the same way backwards and forwards. I'm going to talk about the Gregory property again. I have some handouts that I'll give to you after I'm done. At the June 20th, 2023 City Council meeting, the council had to consider the Gregory Contracting building project. The staff recommendation coming out of the Planning Commission, which was recommended by Kim Lindquist, who's your planner, and Fred Weck, who's one of the
Planning
staff members. The council passed the Gregory project unanimously at that time. So all of you voted for it unanimously. In that packet or what you passed, it stated, the applicant shall submit a lighting plan that complies with all standards in ordinance lighting requirements, Article 7, Division 15, including turning off all site lighting except for security lighting 1 hour after closing. That is not occurring right now. I have a question. What is security lighting? I don't know. As you know, there's approximately 60 lights on the building or so. So I'm not sure, because clearly the council voted to turn off all the lights 1 hour after closing. That's not occurring. Secondly, at the end of Fred's report, which I saw in the packet, he concludes, at this time, Gregory Contracting is in compliance with the city's requirements concerning lighting and signage. I'm confused at this point because you all voted, you're the elected officials, you voted for that particular packet or,
Agenda item.
well, you voted for the construction of the Gregory
Yep.
property, and, you know, we don't have to go through it. There was some variances and, okay? So I'm confused at this point because Fred in his packet says they're totally in compliance, but the council, what you passed is something totally different. Now, that isn't happening with the lights. The lights are not going off 1 hour after they close. I have one other item. I want to talk about the sign lighting. The code says all illuminated on-premise signs for advertising purposes shall be turned off between 12:01 a.m. and sunrise, except that signs may be illuminated while the business facility on the premises is open for service. They close 5, 6 o'clock. Sometimes someone might be there at 7, but no later than that. You know, if you have any questions, because I know you probably don't go by there. There's several schemes of lighting that he uses. Some of the lights are on some of the time. Sometimes, at least early on, all of the lights were on. All 60 lights were on. And if you can imagine what it looks like, imagine a Carnival Cruise Line ship on the seas in the dark, because it's dark over there. Part of the building is next to our field. It's totally dark. So that's the situation. If you have any questions for me as far as the lighting, feel free to ask. I did copy the two sections that are in question at this point, and I'll hand them out to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
And Mr. Weck, you'll be giving your update, your communication?
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll tell later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that'd be great. Okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes. Number one, consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for February 6, 2024.
Mayor.
Any questions or comments?
I apologize to interrupt you. We have updated those now, and they do reflect accurately if you were to re-download them. So Mr. McFarland just got done with that. I know there was a question regarding that.
Okay, should we mention it? Because I don't have time right now to re-download it.
We can just mention it, that's fine.
Okay, I'd like to make a correction to the minutes of the meeting. On the last page, when we voted to terminate Mr. Amgeld, I actually voted yes,
Okay.
not no.
Okay, so that's pertaining to number one, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, are there any other questions or comments? Okay, we will need a motion to approve in a second, and then I will be doing roll call for all items tonight. All right, so we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a first by member Schilling. Do we have a second? Second by member Luker. Roll call. Member Luker? Aye. Member Onstead?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Yeager?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is aye, so approved. Number two, consider approving the minutes of the special meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for February 13th, 2024. Any comments or questions? If not, we need a motion to approve. Do we have a first?
So moved.
We have a first by member Luker. Do we have a second by member Onstead?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call vote, please. Member Luker?
Aye.
Member Onstead?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Yeager?
Aye.
Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. Consent agenda number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Does anybody wish to pull an item from 3, 4, 5, or 6 on the consent agenda? Nope. All right, seeing that, we will need a motion to approve the consent agenda 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Onstad. Roll call, please. Member Luker?
Aye.
Member Onstad?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Yeager? And
Aye.
Mayor Iverson is, sorry. Member Yeager?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. All right, it does pass. Acknowledgement receipts of reports of officer boards, commissions, and department heads. Number 7, 8, 9, and 10. Does anybody wish to pull a report? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 11, communication 2024 spring medallion hunt, and that would be Mr. McFarland.
Honorable Mayor and members of council, as you know, in 2023 and annually, the city of Wyoming puts together an annual spring medallion hunt. This item is just to inform you that it is going to be taking place again in 2024. We actually just received the medallion today. It's going to be running concurrent with the Forest Lake School District spring break, so that's March 4th to March 8th. So
that's
you'll
fine.
be seeing us post clues on our Facebook and hopefully seeing people searching everywhere in the city for the duration of that time. So.
Who's writing the, it's so loud. Who is writing the clues?
Ideally, it'll be me, but I'll also be relying on Mr. Weck and some other individuals in the office, just as they have more of the historical knowledge of some of these places.
Just wondering if you're going to do AI.
Not quite there yet,
Thought
but
I'd ask that.
I
Okay.
like the idea.
And what does the medallion look like?
So the medallion is just a circular, clear medallion. It's got in the inside, the text just reads, I believe, Wyoming spring 2024 spring medallion. and it's got orange text and the city logo.
And do we have anybody giving a prize, any business, or?
So that has not been finalized yet. We're reaching out to the same one, or to Split Rocks did it last year, but to be determined.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, seeing none, we'll move on to number 12, which is old business, Gregory Contracting, Lighting and Screening Update. Mr. Weck?
Madam Mayor, councilors, city council members, there's a report, I'm not gonna rehash the whole thing. I would like to address the two complaints that we received tonight. One being security lighting, and what is security lighting? I don't know. But all the lights are not, they do have lights on timers, I could find out what they're reading for security lighting or not. Second one about sign illumination, when I listened to and watched the last meeting, there was no mention of the sign itself in illumination, so I can find out when they're turning them off. If they're not turning them off by midnight, I can have that taken care of, so that's not a big deal. And then when Ms. Christensen came up, she talked about the lights. The picture of them is in my report. They have the shroud around them with the blue painting tape on it that's temporary while the epoxy that's holding them to the light fixture was curing. Again, taking the light measurements from the property line as the ordinance requires, they're in compliance with the lighting requirements. The ordinance for lighting doesn't say you can't see a light. I mean, I can see the stars and the moon, and they're thousands of miles and millions and whatever away. It's the brightness of the light that's shining on the property, and they're not exceeding that 1 candle power at the property line. And actually, as I move closer to the building, I'm still not getting that 1 candle power. So I can find out about the sign, and if it's not being turned off, I can have that turned off at midnight. Again, I didn't know that was one of the complaints.
Okay, and there's still screening coming, right?
And there's still screening coming.
So,
They ran
I
out of
mean,
time.
okay. And then Member Schilling had,
So it's vague, but as a facilities coordinator, what they consider security lighting is pretty much any light you put on the building to illuminate the building overnight. So it's hard, again, it comes down to foot candles on the property line itself, and it looks like we match where I work as well. You can still see it plain as day, but it meets the required 1 foot candle per. So, but the security lighting, businesses put security lighting up to illuminate the building itself, so you can see all the way around the building at all times when it's dark. Unfortunately, that's something you're going to see. But according to this, I mean, we're meeting the requirement. We're meeting the light candle per foot at the property lines at the right of way. The sign is the only thing, that I didn't realize we had that in the language, so. But the security lighting is tricky, but that's what businesses do. The security lighting is considered, I have neighbors that illuminate their entire home all night long, do I like it, but it doesn't shine into my home, but I can see it plain as day. So it's a tough one on that. And these are really loud.
they are loud, the microphones.
Yeah, so. But I hope that answers what they consider security lighting. That's what we call it when we do facility remodels, it's anything that illuminates the building so you can see it in the overnight hours in the dark. So.
Chief Bauer, do you have any take on security lighting for a building? And you might say no, I don't, I'm just.
It highly suggests that lighting is on at all times. My exterior lights are on 24/7 at home. It does help prevent criminal activity, and it is a good security measure. That's all I would have to contribute at this point, I guess.
So what you're saying, so what is being said is in Wyoming, there is no specific verbiage or ordinance about what security lighting is. Is that what I'm understanding, or any other city?
Yeah, and.
Not in our city.
Yep, and where I work in West St. Paul, we just do the same thing, 0 foot candle at property line. And you can see this business plain as day, but they meet the lighting requirements because we require the lighting spec that shows all the candle light all the way around the property, around each one. The only other question I had, Mr. Weck, was these, the ones they were showing with the multi-LEDs. Typically, these are used to shine up on flagpoles. So I have not been on the site yet.
They're just shining on the front facade.
I was gonna say, are they shining on the building? They consider that security lighting, so. The industry does.
This is a lot. That's right. Mr. Weck, can you, when do you think you might be able to get out for the signage?
I'll talk to Gregory Contracting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that in a phone call.
All right, appreciate that. All right, we'll move on to new business, number
Oh, I have a
13.
question though. Couple questions. The pictures you have of your light meter,
Yes.
is that in Lux or
The
Candlefoot?
the pictures I have there are in Lux, because if it was in Candlefoot, it would just been plain zero. So Lux is
Okay.
a tenth of one
Is it
Lux is a tenth of a candle power, so that is able to show. So where I have a 0.2 Lux, that's actually a 200th of candle power, so.
Okay. And there was a question of screening that came up. What screening has yet to be put up?
The approved site plan shows screening being a fence along the north and a portion of the west property line, and then plantings along the rest of the west property line to Highway 8.
Okay, so there will be a fence and there will be plantings.
There'll be definitely plantings. That the Gregory Contracting is considering maybe doing plantings along the north property line, because that's where we're gonna be running the new road through, and where the fence is gonna be sitting on the site plan is what will probably be taken away by the new road. So if you go out there, you'll see that there's a berm by the pond. He's thinking about doing along the berm line there, so it'll be out of that traffic line.
All right, so there's no fence, it's just gonna be a berm?
No, there'll be plantings. The
There'll be
berm-
plantings?
Yes.
But you're not putting a fence up?
Right now, the plan shows a fence.
Okay,
In talking to the contractor, he was considering maybe changing that to plantings, and in my report, I state that if he is gonna change it to plantings, that needs to be sent back for review, to make sure that it's meeting the
okay,
ordinance
so
requires for screening.
plan shows fence, may not be fence, will have to be set back, if no fence.
Right, well, sent back to me, not necessarily the city council, unless you'd like to see it, but I'm just, would be checking to make sure that meets the screening requirements, depending on whether he's gonna do all evergreens or a mixture of evergreens and deciduous. I'll have to look and see what they're doing, but as of right now, it's a fence, but it may change.
And the fence would have to comply to what we already do.
Right.
What our fence ordinance, we're not doing decorative bump outs or anything
No.
like that.
No,
Okay. So I had.
Okay.
May I comment?
Sure, just for 1 minute. We just have 1 minute.
So what basically has been said is that any kind of lights are security lights. That does not still clear up the fact that you are the elected officials. You all voted unanimously, you all voted that he should turn off his lights 1 hour after.
Okay, you wanted to state a question. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah, well, you haven't cleared that up. I guess your answer is that all of the lights on the building are security lights.
We don't have an ordinance or a definition of what security lights are.
Well,
Mr. Weck?
I do know that he's got lights on timer, so some of the lights are going off, and the ones that are remaining on, if he's calling it security lighting, that's
do you
what it is.
want me to clear it up as to what lights are going on and off?
No, we're gonna
Do
move
you?
on.
Whatever you'd like, Mr.
No,
Weaver.
whatever you would like.
Well, the council would like you to
'Cause
move
you-
along. If you'd like me to come over to your home tomorrow, whatever day that you can show me, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Because it'll only take 30 seconds.
Yeah. We're gonna move on to new business, and if
If
You
you'd like me
can-
to, just give me a call tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have on
Okay.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Number 13, to consider resolution 240219, a resolution approving an agreement with Lexipol LLC for the implementation of a comprehensive police policy and procedure manual and annual policy manual maintenance training bulletins in the amount of $21,536.10. Chief Bauer, are you gonna be speaking on this? That's a lot of verbiage.
It was
for-
a lot, yeah, sorry, yeah.
that was
I
a
do
lot.
have one more handout that'll help, I'll refer.
All right.
Oh,
It's a handout kind of night.
I know, sorry.
It's all right.
Too bad.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, this one.
Okay, Madam Mayor and members of council, as we sit right now, our policy manual is still in need of a significant revision. Currently, we have about 75 policies and procedures in the manual, with about 30 of them that have been revised. Many of them were just template language that we had pulled from the BCA. If you remember last year, we did contract with Epic Glamorous to help with that project. And we did address some of the high liability, high risk policies that were in need of immediate attention. So pursuit policy, use of force, foot pursuit, the employee speech and expression, and social networking policy. This was a much bigger undertaking than we anticipated. We got through those, and ultimately we came to an agreement that this was not going to be a long-term solution to get this manual rewritten. I had approached them on the project saying, would this be something you'd be interested in attempting? We did start that project, and ultimately, after this period of time, we decided this is not a viable option. So we came to an agreement that they would refund half of the amount that we had paid for that, and they gave us credit for training that we'll definitely use for some of the training that they're offering. As you are well aware, I'm sure, having current policies is really critical for our operation. There is case law that updates on a daily basis. Statutes are changing on a regular basis, and there's mandates that realistically it's difficult to stay on top of all those things that are happening. And ultimately, when we looked at what other options, because this does need to get done, Lexipol is a company that offers a really phenomenal product. All the sheriff's offices in the state are using it locally. Lakes Area PD, Chisago County, and Forest Lake are all using it, and multiple other agencies across the state are using it. So it is definitely tried and true as a good product. They do provide a lot of services. Out the door, they have about 160 policies that are specific to Minnesota. What I'm proposing is that those 160 policies that is in this handout that I provided for you, realistically, we have about half of those, and with those 75, and I just haven't been able to get on top of getting these all done. So if you think of the 160, I haven't even gotten through the 75 we currently have. That's double, if not more, that still need to be addressed. Now, granted, we don't need every single one of these, but what the proposal is that we would be contracting with them. They would schedule time with me on a weekly basis to go through these 160 policies and making sure they're customized and work for us in the city of Wyoming. It is expensive, I'll give you that. The process takes between 6 and 12 months for most agencies, so it still is a significant time commitment. But in the end, we will have a policy manual that is current, and they also, I did a demo with them again on Friday. It's pretty cool how they push out updates. Yep. They give you your policy, the recommended changes on the same screen, highlights, shows what changes you approve or decline each policy change, and ultimately it gets pushed out then to your staff for approval. It is a really cool system. I knew they offered a good product, but to see how those changes work was pretty incredible. And they also provide daily training bulletins for the department. The initial implementation fee is $14,747.40. And then there's an annual maintenance fee of $6,788.70 for 10 officers. That's that cost per officer. Maintenance provides updates to the manual on a regular basis. I also included an example in your council packet of what that update was in December of 2023, so you can see the quality of the product that they're putting out. Understanding that annual maintenance fee of just under $7,000 would be an ongoing cost that we would need to consider for future budgets. Outlined all the budget, the process. Each of these tiers that are highlighted are different categories that I provided for council in that in the handout I just provided. I also included our current policies that we do have. If you refer to that handout, the ones that are 3-digit numbers are ones that I've touched or used model policies for. All the ones that are highlighted still have not been addressed, have not been looked at, and still need to be done in addition to all the ones that we didn't even know needed policies. So This total cost of $21,536.10. There's a discount of just under $2,000 for being a part of Sourcewell. This initial project would be paid for out of the public safety aid funds. And again, understanding that annual maintenance cost would need to be addressed in future budgets. Yeah, any questions that you have?
I'll start. First of all, you always do such a great job with all the information, so
Hope so.
appreciate that. So you talked about other cities close by us, Forest Lake, lakes, that sort of thing. My question would be, is there any way to work together for that payment? Are the updates and all the statutes and all that, are they the same for everybody? Or how would they be different where you couldn't work together on the same policy?
Sure. Well, they are copyrighted, so I can't just copy. And what's cool about this is this does allow you to publish these online, and most cities do have them online for transparency, so the entire manual. Roseville's a great example. You look online. I could go on there, I mean,
Yeah,
not
well,
legally.
that's not what I'm saying.
To partner up, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be getting the updates then.
Okay.
They don't offer it that way.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
could, the three of you couldn't go in and say, look, what product can you do that is for all three of us and it saves money? Okay,
No, for
that's fair.
example, we were just working on a domestic abuse response policy across the county.
Yeah.
When we can't come up with a consistent policy between the sheriff's office and the three policing agencies, just because there are differences.
Okay.
And
fair.
we did work on that just to see if we could come up with that, and that wasn't possible.
Yeah, okay. And then what other companies do something like this? Are there other, no, they're
No.
like the only ones?
They really do have a monopoly on it.
Okay.
Expert Glamours is doing this,
Mm-hmm.
but they're charging, last I talked to them, it was closer to $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's about the same cost. And I think this is a phenomenal product.
Okay, and then the first initial cost, the $21,536, we have the money for that right now, correct?
It would be out of that public safety aid money,
Okay,
yes.
so we have that covered.
Correct.
And then the other roughly $7,000, is it gonna go up yearly?
This
Are
would be, I would anticipate it may.
Okay,
And honestly, I can't remember if this is how long the contract is good for.
I was
I'd have
just
to
gonna
check
ask that.
Yep, that's a great question. I don't know that I have an answer to that today.
okay, and so no, we don't know if every year it goes up 10% or 20%, there's just no way of knowing that. Are the updates coming from the elected officials, from the state capitol? Where are the where are the, I'm not using the right words, where are the rules coming from? Let's call them rules.
The changes are, they have an entire staff that's monitoring what's going on, whether it's state statute updated by
Thank
the
you.
legislature.
Yeah.
Whether it's case law, which is really hard to keep tabs on. That's
Yeah.
not always published in a way that we would understand
Yeah.
easily. So, case law does change policy, and we would need to, that's where they keep tabs on all those things.
Okay, and my question would be, if we publish it for transparency, there's always some groups out there
Yep.
making sure that everything is good or we're not lacking anything, right? So this would be something to help us make sure that those entities are not focusing on what we have, correct?
Right now, we have the bare minimum published on our website that we're required to. We have,
Okay.
there's mandated policies that we do have on our website that we do have out there. However, just in the interest of transparency, and it is recommended to
Yeah.
put all of these out there.
Yeah.
And then it does become clear. It's all out there,
Yeah,
but it also it's very clear what the expectations are.
yeah, I would say I worry about the entities that are out there that are always watching, and to your point, it's transparent
Sure.
and everything's out there that it should be,
Sure.
so, okay, yeah.
Mayor, Chief Bauer did send me some information. It is that I was looking back on here, it is a year, it is an annual contract, and then 60 days notice from either party for
Okay,
renewal.
thank you.
So, yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, and they don't state like anything that it could go up dramatically?
There isn't anything within the services or renewal, other than we will receive the new calendar amount prior to that 60-day notice for the end of the year. So if it was something that went up, substantially, we would have at least a moment to react.
Okay,
And I will add that you do get to keep the manual.
Yeah.
If we terminate it a year from now, you
Okay.
get to maintain it, you just don't get the updates along the way.
Oh, okay, so my other question then would be is more legal, so maybe Mr. Lunan can answer that. So what happens if Leopold puts this out there, they followed everything, something happened, and somebody said, look, you don't have this on your policy manual or whatever, and we get sued? Is that a possibility, that Leopold then takes responsibility for that?
They will not.
They will not,
No.
okay. All right, that's all the questions I have,
I asked.
right? He's
Yeah.
right.
I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna say,
go.
that's what
I
we
mean,
have
I'm
Mr.
good.
Lunan for.
Was there a
Sorry.
wink over there
Yeah.
going, you know?
Beat ya, yeah.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure. I mean,
Yeah.
if there's an
Good
error and it's their error and we're paying them money, I wanted to know if they're also responsible, right? That's only
Right.
fair. So, okay, let's go with Member Onstad.
Have you found that they have a lot of things on here that you probably never would have thought of? Like I saw in their aircraft accident. Who would think of that
Nope.
as a part of their policy?
Right, correct. Yes, and there's a lot of them. That's what I was getting at. We have 75, and some of those are really outdated. They haven't been touched since 2010. There's things in there that I never would have considered. And also, I would say there's probably 10, 15 that we may not need. You know, it doesn't apply to us. We don't have a jail facility and those type of things. So some of it might not apply, but yes, absolutely.
One
Alright.
question I have.
All right, Member Schilling.
You actually answered my first couple as the updates, because when we do ours, and then the only thing I can kind of shed a little light on is usually with software agreements, they're usually between 5 and 10, or 3 and 5% annual is usually what they adjust for inflation. But according to the contract, it says that they do let us know the following year. So that was the only questions I have. I'm fine with
All right.
it.
All right,
I
Member
think
Luker.
it's long overdue.
I have a few questions. So I understand that this gets updated based on state statute and best practice.
Right.
Is it the case law that determines what best practice is?
Is it the case law? All of those things influence policy. None of them are necessarily prioritized over each other. Some of them, like state statute, do come out as by this date, you need to add these things.
Sure.
For example, Post Board just put out a new pursuit policy, model policy. So now I have to go through line by line our pursuit policy that we just wrote last year and figure out what changed about the model policy, whereas with Lexipol, they will push that out, and then you get to review it, and then everyone knows what that change is. Case law would be, and I apologize if this is not what you're asking, let me know, but case law would be a court case that would change, for example, vehicle searches. Several years ago, vehicle search procedure had to change significantly based on case law. You can't just search a vehicle just because someone was arrested. There are criteria for when you can do that. So those things change, and then you have to change your policy accordingly.
Just in looking through the different tiers of things that are covered, there are some things in here that seem to be part of our collective bargaining contracts.
Right.
Does Lexipol take that into account?
Yeah, that would be part of that,
Okay.
that weekly meeting where that would be my responsibility then to say, all right, here's our CBA, we need to make sure that it either reflects it or the language would be referred to the collective bargaining unit.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so we know that we can change the manual and we can publish it and it's transparent, and I'm all in favor of that. How do we implement this with our patrol
Sure.
and sergeants?
Sure. So there's a knowledge management platform as well that they receive notification anytime there's a new update, and they provide, whether it's training or the previous version and the current version, where the cop can see this is what our old one is, here's the changes. So it's like when you see a redlined policy, it shows the changes. And if they're more significant, like a pursuit policy or the social media policy, those type of things that I changed last year, we would do. We have quarterly training and meetings that we would hold, that we hold currently, that we would review those things, just to allow a little more interactive dialogue.
Okay. All right, I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks.
Member Yeager.
When was the last time we had such an extensive update to the policy?
It would have been prior to me, but a lot of the dates are 2010. on the
Okay.
policies. So we're 14 years-ish.
Because
On several of them.
I remember passing a whole new policy manual,
Sure.
okay? And what we're getting for our 20,000 is like all of this,
Everything.
all of that. And then in their pricing,
Mhm.
so the pricing apparently is per officer. So should you, I mean, is that simply sworn officers?
Yes.
Okay. And should you increase your sworn officers, the pricing goes up?
The annual fee would go up,
Go
yes,
up,
correct.
yes.
Per the $600 and some dollars, yes.
But this doesn't include community service officers? or-
Reserves, volunteers, none of them would, they all get
Okay.
it for free.
Okay, that's all I had, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we will need a motion for, to pass we'll need a motion to approve 240219, a resolution approving an agreement with Lexipol LLC. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by member Onstad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Luger. Roll call, please. Member Luger.
Aye.
Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. Number 14, to consider resolution 240220, a resolution to approve the purchase of one Grid B GS9 mixer to be installed at the South Water Tower for the Wyoming Department of Public Works and the amount of $23,556. Mr. Linwood, I have you down on this, seeing we don't have our
That
superintendent.
is correct, yep, I'll be presenting the items for Public Works. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Staff, this is something that we identified last year as part of our 2024 utility rate, or our 5-year utility rate study, to the addition of a mixer within our south tower. That is the one located off 260th Street. Really what this does is it allows for preserving water quality. There can be times of the year where the tank is a little lower, or stratification can happen when the consumption isn't up. And what can happen there is you can start to have some discoloration, you can have taste, and you can even have some smell. We still, from time to time, have some issues with some blurbs that will go out in the community that will be some discolored water, things like that. Also, in fact, affecting some of our businesses and our residential customers. And this is something that we've kind of discussed with engineering that we think will help solve some of these problems and also bring a better quality of drinking water to our residents and businesses. So it also helps in the winter months too, not to allow for a lot of ice buildup. This year we probably didn't have any real significant ice buildup due to our really moderate winter, but this is something that we've identified as a potential really good addition to our water tower and water drinking infrastructure. So as part of this is KLM will furnish and install a Grisby mixer for the amount of $22,161. And then Total Control, who does all the city's SCADA work, they will actually hook it up and install it into our SCADA system. So it'll be part of that entirety in that network that we monitor all of our wells, lift stations, and water towers with. So the timing on this will kind of continue on condition, but they'll need to make sure that the weather is warmer. There can't be any ice in the tank or anything like that when they go to install it. So with that, we are recommending approval of this item. Like I said, this was inclusionary in our rate study for our years 2024 through 2028. And this is, with that, I can stand for any questions.
Okay. So this is coming out of our water
Correct.
budget?
Yep, our water
Okay.
CIP, yes.
Okay, and I'm just gonna be a little bit of a geek here. Do they bring the water down, they put the big mixer in? Does it look like, I'm trying to understand what that
So
looks like.
I can maybe start, Mr. Erickson might have a little more
Okay.
engineering expertise. So there is really, to put this in, it's not just dumping a mixer in the tank and
Yeah.
going through that. And maybe with that, I'll just stop before I get ahead of myself. Maybe, Mr. Erickson, maybe I'll let you give a little
Sorry,
more
I'm just trying to envision
engineering
this.
expertise to it. But there is definitely more to it than just that.
Thanks, Mr. Linwood. Rob is right. There's a little bit more into it than just plopping it in and, plugging it.
Yeah.
There's electrical that's involved, wiring that will be needed to be installed. There's coordination with our SCADA integrator, so they're gonna be connecting that to our supervisory control and data acquisition system that we can monitor on the computer screens. We have evaluated previous bids that have had this very same mixer installed back in 2021 in another community. We had taken bids, and those range from the low 20s to mid 30s. Of course, there's a little bit of varying things that happen in each tower depending on where electrical is and those things. And I'll say those did not include the integration, those quotes as well. So again, we certainly feel that the quote here is fair, and probably on the lower side of what we typically see for these, and so we're comfortable with that. But again, I think Rob highlighted the benefits of it really well. And again, it is a mixer that does require the lowering of the water to be installed and things. So there's a little bit that goes into it for sure.
So it's not a Vitamix,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Just thought I'd ask that. How long do these last for? What are we looking at?
I think there was let me read back through this item. I believe there's a warranty of a minimum of 5 years, but
Yeah.
typically we see these lasting much longer than that.
I think in speaking with KL and most of their communities, Mr. Erickson, I think they're saying usually 10 to 15 years on
Okay.
these, so.
Okay, and is this a local company? Or is this out of state?
KLM is local.
KLM is local. I believe they're at a Woodbury.
Well, I was gonna say Woodbury, yes, Woodbury, yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, I have no further questions. We'll go on to Member Schilling.
I really don't have any questions. When we drain down, can I bring a tank over so I have water for my yard in case we go into a ban again?
All
I'd hate to,
right.
really hate to. Don't we just shut off the pump when we drain down? We don't dump it, correct?
Right.
We just let it bring itself down to the
Right.
level and, okay.
I
Well,
really-
then, belay my last comment. So.
I really kind of want to see that. Can we videotape that some way? I'm just curious.
The
'cause it's-
installation?
Yeah, I'm just, my imagination and trying to figure out how.
We certainly can. I mean, there's an our other tower up there by
Yeah.
by the bowling alley does have one as well.
Okay.
And so yeah,
Okay.
there's regular maintenance that goes on. Certainly, a photo
Okay.
can be taken and
Okay,
provided.
I don't know why it's fascinating to me tonight, but, Member Yeager.
Did I hear you say the North Water Tower already has a mixer?
It does, correct.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering why we didn't have mixers in the water towers, because it seems such a simple solution to the problem.
If anybody's not afraid of heights, I'm sure a tour could be provided potentially.
I was thinking drone, maybe?
I was thinking climbing.
You were thinking climbing, okay.
And for the public, this isn't gonna change the discoloration when we flood flush hydrants, correct?
Right.
Oh, that's a good call on that,
Yeah.
thank you.
Because
All
that
right.
will continuously happen.
Member Luker.
I have no questions.
All right, Member Onstead.
Just for a point of clarification, I looked up how much the Gridbee GS9 is, and it's about a quarter of the price. But I know that's not you're not just buying a pump and throwing it in there. There's a lot more to that. Could you explain why it costs significantly more? So that if anybody went and looked it up and said, well, why are we getting ripped off? We're not. Could you explain why there's a big price difference?
I think I can start, and I think Mr. Erickson, as he went through, it's not, it's obviously the hookup of the panel, and then there has to be the electric work is necessary to be done to that, to run that up. And then there's an actual control box that does that, so there's quite a bit of labor and time that goes into installing that in regards to some of that, and then actually hooking it up to our SCADA system. So individuals have to go up within the tank and then hook that up. So it's not quite as simple as just dumping it in and, like Mr. Erickson kind of said, plugging it into an outlet and here we go. There's a little more expertise in engineering. KLM is an actual engineering company, so there's definitively a little more expertise that comes into it than just that simplistic. And Mr. Erickson, I don't know if there's anything.
Covered it well.
Yeah, if you look at the website, it almost looks like it's installed with hand tools. And, it seems like, well, I could do that on a weekend. But there's a lot more to it than that, obviously, with the electrical, the height, the safety. So I just want to make sure that if someone sees the price, they understand that there's more to it than just plugging it in and letting it go. So thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, we need a motion to approve Resolution 240220, a resolution to approve the purchase of one Gridbee GS-9 mixer. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. Roll call, please. Member Luker.
Aye.
Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. Number 15, to consider Resolution 240221, a resolution approving the purchase of a New Holland C332 tracked skid loader with attachments from Baraboo?
That is correct.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Implement Company Inc. in the amount of $50,998. Mr. Linwood.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is an item that was due for replacement in our 2024 capital improvement. This is a Baraboo New Holland C332 compact track loader from Baraboo, which is out of St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. This is the total cost for this item for the New Holland compact track loader with trade-in of our existing CAT skid steer is $39,000. Staff is also recommending the replacement of the snow blower 2418 for the Erskine snow blower. This is a snow blower that we utilize for a lot of bigger jobs. Example would be the sidewalks on Wyoming Trail and what we've done with some of that work when the winters warrant, like last winter, to be able to truck some of that away then too, to be able to do that. So that'd be some of the different things. And the other piece is for the a brush cutter mower, which is used for, what would be utilized more for things in storm ponds and has the ability for that machine and that attachment to go down and be able to take down small trees in areas that, different areas that we need to make sure we're in compliance with our MS4 permit on those ponds. The cost for that brush cutter is $84,999. The total cost for the New Holland skid steer attachments is $50,998. The city did budget $80,000 for replacement of this unit in 2024. This was part of some of the diligence that we had done early on in this process. For some of them, you can see that there was an item attached there for council to review. Some of the initial ones we were getting when we were looking at the trade-in of that and some of the purchase price cost, really with them, the overall cost for the skid loader ranging around that $60,000 mark, and then with some of the necessary attachments, we felt the budget price was appropriate. What really separated this item apart is you can see it is the most expensive, but they are, Baraboo and New Holland are really trying to break into the municipal market, so they're willing to give extremely large trade-in allowances for these particular items. So you can see the total cost of that loader, along with the snow blower and then that mowing attachment, with the total amount for that with those, as I had stated here, I go back to I apologize, $50,998 for all the attachments and the loader. The other component to this write-up is that there is an annual yearly buyback if you have a cost to this skid loader, which we are recommending that we do go forward with. It'd be an annual cost of $3,000 annually, but essentially, if we don't go over 500 hours on the unit, which we've never come close to that, we essentially get a new unit every year. So if you look at the long term on this, if you were to take that $3,000 annually over 10 years, you're essentially $30,000. This is a 10 to 15 year replacement. You can see, if council reviews some of these other items here, just the purchase price of these right now, and then inflation out at least 10 to 15 years, you're probably going to look at a much more significant cost to this product in the future. Granted, there'll be some trade-in availability, but we think that this is a really good addition and really makes sense for return on investment and enter into that annual upgrade with that for the price of that $3,000 to continue where we don't have large repairs on it. We're going to have essentially a new loader every year. In the last 2 years alone, the track loader that this is replacing, we put almost $20,000 of repairs in. So as they get older, they really do start to have more problems. So we feel this is a good addition to this purchase. I don't have anything else with that. I can stand for any questions council may have.
All right, Mr. Linwood, there's about just under 30,000, if my math is correct, that we're saving on this. Where is that extra money gonna go?
That essentially was in our CIP fund right now. So as of right now, I haven't, we are evaluating, I believe the rest of the purchases that we have this year will remain on budget. We have a few other things yet to go through. So as of right now, we may have a little bit more based on this quote that kind of came in late from Baraboo on this. And just like I said, based on the significant amount they gave for trade-in. So as of right now, we potentially could have a little bit of a surplus in that capital improvement fund.
Okay, and how soon will we get it? Is it something that we order and don't get it for a couple
No,
years?
this is something that will be readily available. We could probably, latest conversations that we'll have this probably within probably 4 to 6 weeks. So
Okay.
pretty quick.
Awesome. Does that also include any of our logos on it?
We will need to put logos on it, but that's a small cost in regards to those. I don't think they're even factored in here, but it'll be nominal, just the decals for it, and then basically the the number will be, it'll be the new 908, so there'll be a 908 and then logo on each side of the item, just for if we are down, whether we're clearing snow or down in, by someone storing ponds, it's easily identifiable that there's a piece of city equipment.
Okay, and how unique is the offer with that $3,000 a year?
There used to be, my understanding, there used to be a few companies that did this back in the day, but essentially, they stopped doing it at one point, due to the number of municipalities that were taking up on it, and then number of machines they would get back and not able to necessarily move those as far as getting the new ones in. So, that it was just something that, like I said, we thought was, really for a return on investment, it made sense to move forward with.
Okay, and so when they say yearly, how long is yearly? Is it 10 years that contract will be that we can do this? Is it 20? Is it at their leisure when they can stop that special $3,000?
As of right now, the way that it reads, it is indefinite through the buyback program. So
Okay.
we don't have an end date on it.
Okay, all right, that's all my questions I have. Member Luker?
I have no questions.
Member Yeager?
Okay, so what happens if you go over 500 hours?
You wouldn't be eligible for the buyback that year. We have not ever, in reviewing a Public Works and looking at the existing skid steer, what they've used, I think the highest they ever had on a year, I think, was around pushing 300 hours. So to have that kind of hours on that machine
Oh, so
would be.
it's 500 per year?
Correct, 500 per year, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
So
which is a
we're
significant,
way under that anyway?
yes, we never really come close to touching that much.
Can this piece of equipment be used for something else that might push us up?
Potentially it could, but I think that's something that we'll be real mindful of, knowing that buyback program, that we need to be, you know.
You'll make sure you get rid of it before
Correct,
500 hours?
Correct, and I think if there was really something that we felt that we needed it, or, you know, another piece of equipment for activities that we weren't doing currently. Some of the things, that was one thing we talked about as part of our MS4 permit, that we would like to do more trimming around those ponds. That is gonna add hours, but even with that, and speaking with our Public Works staff and kind of going through some of those necessary things and how many ponds we wanna do a year, we still shouldn't have any problem remaining under that 500 threshold.
Okay.
All right, Member Schilling?
And just to kind of put that in perspective, a work year is 2,080 hours. I mean, you would have to dedicate a quarter of your use nonstop in order to hit that 500 hours.
It's quite a bit. I mean,
That's a lot of time in
yeah,
a machine.
And I think
So-
they offer this to private, I think, within the contracting industry too, so you might have a contractor that does
Yeah.
use it every day, or sit in every day where it's more realistic, but for our needs, we're fairly confident that won't be an issue.
All right, great.
That was all I had.
All right, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 240221, a resolution approving the purchase of a New Holland C33 two-track skid loader with attachments. Do we have a motion to approve?
Some,
Wow, that was like exactly. So, okay, so we have a motion to approve by Member Onstad? Yes?
Yeah.
A second by Member Schilling?
yes.
Perfect. Roll call, please. Member Yeager?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Onstad?
Aye.
Member?
Aye.
All right, and Mayor Iverson is a yes, pro temp, there you go. All right, motion does pass. Number 16, to consider resolution 240222, a resolution approving the purchase of a chassis of a 2025 Western Star from Boyer Ford Truck on a state bid contract and equipment and outfitting from Towmaster in the amount of $333,605. Can I just say these resolutions are really long tonight?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
I
Mr. Linwood.
apologize. They are noted that they are longer
All
than
right.
probably usual. Thank you, members of council. This is an item that was, I apologize, was added later in the day for this packet. This is due to our continuing equipment issues, is that was essentially, we finally got information back from Boyer in regards to some of the costs and on these, and able for Public Works to go through and to look through some of the line items on this, as there's quite a bit of work to go through in regards to the different types of chassis and all the different components that go into these. So that's something that we just received this month, and we're able to work through and get some finality to that, and now get in line for this actual chassis. Is we are anticipating right now from the communications that this, if approved, will be an item that we received this fall, which is a refreshing comment based on some of our issues that we've had with procurement of equipment in the last 3 years here. This item is part of our 5-year capital improvement plan. This is to replace a 2008 Mack snow plow truck that was scheduled to be replaced in 2024. The item to replace it is a 2025 Western Star 47X tandem plow truck for the replacement. Boyer Ford has been awarded the state contract for these trucks. Cabin frame cost for the state contract is $151,678. And then Towmaster Truck and Equipment has the state contract for outfitting the proposed tandem plow truck, which are hydraulic box plows and safety lights. The cost of the outfitting and equipment is approximately $181,927. As I said before, this is expected in mid-September of 2024. From there, it will go directly to Towmaster once we receive delivery for the actual outfitting and the equipment. This item we had budgeted $335,000 for this truck in 2024. Total cost of the Western Star for cab chassis and outfitting was at $333,605. This has been budgeted for multiple years in our capital improvement plan, and we discussed this a little bit with council during our 2024 budget work session, that we would look at potentially a remaining amount that could be done with an interfund loan. We did this in 2019 for a truck 2 for a little more than we're currently proposing tonight. So the city budgeted $150,000 for this truck in the 2023 CIP and $85,000 in the 2024 CIP for a total of $235,000. The second part of this item would be to approve an interfund loan of $100,000. That is the resolution that follows this item, a resolution approving the purchase of the truck, and then a resolution approving this interfund loan. That loan would come from Fund 602, the city's sewer fund. The city currently has an unreserved amount in that fund of approximately $873,000. So there is adequate funds to handle the $100,000 for this item. Essentially, this loan would then be paid back to the sewer fund over the course of a 5-year period, or $20,000 annually, with an interest rate of 0%. With that, I can stand for any questions regarding the truck, outfitting, cab, chassis, or questions regarding to the second resolution attached to this item for the interfund loan.
Okay. Mr. Linwood, we've been through this before, so I don't have really any questions about what we're doing. I think what would be important for residents that may be watching this to kind of understand what an interfund loan is, and how did the amount of money of $800,000 get in there without overtaxing?
Sure. So the funds for both the water and sewer funds that are just our ongoing operations, why the city does utility rate studies annually to make sure that those funds are able to handle future capital improvement projects, or just sustainability, that the fund is operating in an appropriate manner, that we're not losing money on it. As the last rate study, the recommendations were made to really try to make sure that we are seeing positivity, especially in our water fund. These funds grow from time to time over a year, and we have city policies to make sure that they meet certain criteria in regards to what they should be at, to make sure that we can handle the operations for the year. I believe it's 50% of our annual operating needs to be in those reserve funds. So as we do an interfund loan, or cities often do interfund loans, they look at the liquidity of those funds to make sure that they can handle a loan from that, and then from there, then we will pay that back. Sometimes you'll see an interest rate paid back in that. On this particular one, evaluating myself and then also our finance director at Abdo Eckenmeyer, don't really see a reason to do any kind of interest rate in this particular venue. But you can see there's essentially in the neck of that resolution, there's a journal entry, and then essentially that'll be added in, excuse me, for future years of that $20,000 annually that we'll just essentially pay back ourselves for. We did this as well in 2019 for a plow truck through an interfund loan. Essentially, it was for a little more. It was a $50,000 interfund loan that we did annually. That is now completed for that particular plow truck.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Member Onstad, questions?
No questions.
Member Schilling?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
Okay. So this is the whole complete new truck. Is it replacing any truck?
It is. The 2008 Mack truck is being
Okay.
replaced. That one's usually we operate our fleet at a 15-year replacement on dump trucks, and that is the one that would replace that one, being approximately 16 years, and we would be installing that into the fleet here, or this we're hopeful that we do. Everything goes through, like right now we're hearing from our truck buyer, and we will receive it this fall for the 2024 plowing season and obviously into the 2025 winter as well.
Do you have that in ironclad?
It is not ironclad, but they've been, for the most part, in regards to these, they've been pretty upfront. Our last plow truck, they kind of warned us that the cab and chassis was probably looking, that was kind of in the heart of COVID, we'd be looking at 18 months. Where this is right now, they're staying for this particular model. As long as we're getting in line and get it in, that they don't anticipate they're at the current time, in speaking to Western Star, that we'll have any issues with cab or chassis procurement within that approximate 6 to 7 month time.
Okay. Now, don't we already have a tandem plow?
We do have one tandem plow in the fleet.
So
That's
we're
correct.
going to replace a single with a
Correct.
tandem?
As of, in speaking through our Public Works Department and what the operations are of the department, this would probably be the last tandem plow truck that you would see within the fleet. There are some features to it in regards to whether you're hauling snow, whether you're hauling gravel, whether you're doing street sweepings, that having the tandem trucks is more efficient. The tandem trucks used to be a little more difficult in the way the chassis were set up for maneuverability to do that. With some of the more modern outfitting of them, they are much more mobile. Also, not to say that there are certain routes that we necessarily wouldn't want. It'd be more challenging for a tandem. These tandem trucks will be in routes that are more straight lined and maybe don't have as many curvatures or unique turns as some of our developments do. So it was something that was discussed, but it felt appropriate that they feel strongly that the use can be made for 2 tandems within the fleet. But in the future, you'll probably see the rest of these when we go to, I think we have another truck due in 27, I believe, that will just be a single axle plow.
Because I remember when we bought the last tandem, the questions I had was, and I was told about maneuverability.
Correct.
And so this chassis is improved.
Even that one, I think there was questions on that one in regards to maneuverability. That was, I think, a topic back in 2019. But for that one, just some of the chassis, even on that one, it actually was able to be quite a bit more agile than your normal tandem truck. But once again, that was put in a plow route that really, we probably wouldn't put it on an example like our 2020 street project on the west side where there's some really significant curves in there. So we'll select the truck, and it could do it. It just wouldn't probably do it as efficiently as a single
Right,
tandem.
but-
So it's not like if we had a single go down that we said, oh, we can't put the tandem over there, can't do it. It could. It would just be not as easy as a single. But for the other duties of Public Works that they're going to do with it, it makes sense to have another in the fleet.
But it will work out.
Yep.
So the last interfund loan was 2019,
Correct.
and it's been retired?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I remember there was some conversation with maybe these interfund loans weren't such a great idea.
I don't, pretty common practice, and I apologize if there was. I'm not recalling that at the moment. I don't know if there's any other detail that you would have, but fairly common, I guess when speaking with our finance director, as far as we went through the 24 budget, that it is something
Yeah.
quite common that cities do. I don't know. I apologize, I'm not
I
remembering
mean,
if
I
there was
remember
conversation.
that's what we told the last time. And then after we had it, it was just mentioned during one budget meeting about, well, maybe this wasn't such a great idea. Maybe there were other considerations that that had come up at the time. I don't recall them.
Okay.
But I just remember that conversation.
Okay. Once again, I apologize, I don't recall it completely, but I don't think if we felt that way, or our current finance director at Thabdo, if I felt that way, I guess we wouldn't have discussed it for 2024, wouldn't be
Okay.
presenting it forward. I think as well, based on the health of that account and based on that this is actually for 5 years at 100,000, it's 20,000 a year. I think it also, it's not a real significant, it's not as we're asking the council, that it's 200,000 a year. So I mean, I think the amount is appropriate, finance is comfortable with it.
And we have no upcoming sewer projects that we would need $800,000 for.
As far as everything else has been into our utility rate study, as far as, upcoming sewer projects, as far as part of the water that's going underneath the freeway, there is a upsizing of some of that sanitary sewer there over by the park and ride, near Kettle River, but that's already been factored into our 2024 rate study that we did, and for the projects that we've identified with engineering for, at least for the sewer component.
So we're not gonna come up in the next 5 years with, oh my God, we need,
Not that I guess as far as from a sewer standpoint that I'm aware of right now, unless there's, and as far as from the, the CIP for the Chisago Lakes Joint Sewer Commission, there's nothing in there right now that is gonna, based on, when we did that rate, we went through with the rate study and the consultant about all those capital projects that the joint sewer are capital projects that staff and Mr. Erickson worked through. Mr. Erickson, I don't know if you.
Yeah, part of that process, developing the capital improvements plan, we did evaluate pipe sizes that were identified in our comprehensive plan to be upsized. We just looked at what our flow rates are in our sewer system, what our projections are, and we didn't see anything in that next 5-year window that would require any upgrades of that sanitary sewer pipe. So we felt very comfortable knowing that we don't have road improvement projects over the top of them where it might make sense to do whether it required it or not. And so we feel very comfortable that there aren't anything known right now that we need to identify
Okay.
those fees for, those costs.
hopefully nothing comes up.
Yeah, we certainly hope not. I don't, like I said, or as of right now, we're not aware of anything through the planning that we've done.
Okay.
All right, Member Lugar,
No questions.
Okay, there's been a lot of conversation tonight. I do have one last question, Mr. Linwood.
Yes.
Was it this council that set up the interfund loan?
I don't know if it was all of you. It would have been 2019, so most of you.
Yeah.
I don't believe, not Mr. Councilmember Schilling or Councilmember Olmsted were not here for that, but that was when the last one that we did, I think 3 of you would have been here in 2019 when we did the last one for that truck in 2019.
But it was something that I think we brought up, if I remember correctly. A lot of cities were doing this. It was a way to be able to not have to take out an actual loan and have all the interest payments and cost us that much more money.
Correct, yeah, it's
Yeah.
fairly common practice. So,
Yeah, I'm thinking about all the mayor conversations that we've had and stuff and throughout the state, and I know this is very common, so. All right, we do need a motion to approve Resolution 240222, a resolution approving the purchase of the chassis of a 2025 Western Star. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Member Lugar. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Schilling. Roll call, please. Member Lugar.
Aye.
Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is a yes. It passes. Number 17, any other discussion about Resolution 240223, resolution for the interfund loan? Okay, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 240223. I'll make the first. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Lugar. Roll call. Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Onstad.
Aye.
Member Lugar.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson says yes, so that does approve. Council reports. We will start with Member Lugar.
I attended the special session last week as well as the work session earlier this evening.
Perfect, thank you. Member Onstad.
I attended the work session prior to this meeting, and other than that, no reports.
All right, thank you. Member Schilling.
I attended the EDA meeting last Monday, the special work session council meeting, and the one prior to this meeting, right? Didn't we have? Yep, we do. And thanks to the 5 of you watching tonight. Appreciate it.
Member Yeager.
Oh, I attended this special meeting, I attended the work session, and I want to thank Neil and Bonnie for coming, and thank all of you for watching.
All right, you're gonna have to help me with this, Mr. Linwood.
Okay.
So, I did attend the EDA meeting, the work session tonight, the special session. We did a lot of meeting with different representatives a couple weeks ago, state, Senate, state representatives on both sides working on our public safety building. And we did attend the county meeting with the wonderful gentleman who talked about housing. Do you remember his name? It was so good. Do you know what I'm talking about? This is where I need your help.
Give me 1 second, I can't think of his
We
name
can put
either.
it in the record if we need to.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second.
He was
You
from
wanna
the
keep- if
University of
you-
Minnesota.
Yeah, if you wanna keep going,
Yeah,
I
okay.
can find it. I
All right.
apologize, I can't.
No, that's fine. I
top of my
put you on
head.
the spot. I was trying to find that. Attended that as well. It was greatly attended by the county and many entities of the county, school district, different commissioners. Also attended the Special Armor Radio negotiation meeting. Let's start with that, and that was just last week on a Friday at 4 o'clock. So also attended that, and that was a long weekend. So if you don't remember, we'll put it in the records, or I'll say
I
it
think
next
it's
time.
Ben something. I can't. Ben Winchester, thank
That's
you.
it, Ben Winchester,
you.
thank you. Absolutely amazing speaker.
He's a great speaker.
He's a great speaker, so attended that as well. So really appreciate it to Nancy for setting that up. With that, that's all I have. We do need a motion to approve. To adjourn, sorry.
So moved.
We need a second.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second, and I'm not calling roll on this. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Did I hear everybody say aye?
You heard everybody say aye.
I didn't hear everybody, so everybody said yes. Fabulous. We are